My son has to leave for work really early in the morning, but he loves to have a high protein breakfast without a lot of fuss. So I love to make sheet pan eggs for him specifically, and for anybody else in the family who wants a high protein breakfast. Follow along and you can see how we make these quick and easy so that he can have a healthy breakfast every morning without much work. I'm Malia Russell with Homemaking 911. One of the preps I really like to do for our freezer is to make something called sheet pan eggs. For these sheet pan eggs, what I like to do is chop up whatever vegetables I have around in the refrigerator that might be going out of their date. In this case, I had some kale from the garden. It was just a tiny bit, so I just went ahead and chopped it up and threw it on there. This was a partial orange pepper. We'll just spread it all around that sheet pan. Here I have some purple onion or red onion, depending on where you live. You might call it one or the other. I had chopped some earlier for some salads I was making in a jar, so I just went ahead and used the chopped up portion already and then added a little bit more. When you go to cover up your onion and put it back in the fridge, even though we use glass containers, I will take a piece of saran wrap and cover over that before I put that silicone lid on. That helps keep the lid from picking up the smell or the taste of onions. And again, we just spread that around on the pan. So this is some frozen kale that I had in my freezer. It was the last of what we made from last year's garden. One of the things I like to do is take the kale, wash it, dry it really well, then I'll drop it into a freezer bag, and then once it's frozen, you can crush it really finely with your hands, and it makes it a little tiny pieces of kale that you can add to a recipe like this. Now we're going to crack 18 eggs into this. This is the Bosch mixer. The Bosch mixer is my kitchen powerhouse. It can handle up to 5 loaves of bread at one time without any hesitation. And it can also handle smaller things like just whisking up these eggs. I really do like to use an electric mixer with this instead of just mixing it with a bowl and a spoon, because it'll help make sure all the eggs yolks get well whipped before they go into this recipe. If you do happen to drop a little piece of shell into your eggs, as you see I do here, you can use the shell itself to fish it out, and it clings to it very quickly. Now I just dumped in a mixture of some cheeses that I had left over in the fridge. You can see there was some cheddar cheese and a little bit of mozzarella cheese. I just threw in whatever cheese I had. It doesn't really make a difference. You can even leave out the cheese from this recipe if you want to, but we definitely are a cheese-loving family here. Now I'm just going to add in some seasonings, whatever your family likes. We really do like some garlic salt and some pepper. And these are bacon crumbles. I get these in this large bag at Costco. These are super for adding into recipes quickly when I don't really want to go fry up a bunch of bacon and have that mess. Now I usually add a little bit of dairy. You can add a non-dairy product here if you like, or even just some water. The liquid of the dairy, in this case milk or the water, will give it a little bit more fluffiness as they're cooking, make them a little lighter. I'm adding a little bit of Greek yogurt. This is plain Greek yogurt, and it does the same thing. It really fluffs up the eggs and makes them feel very light and tasty. If you don't have Greek yogurt, you can use sour cream. That's usually what is called for in this recipe, but I find in this recipe they taste very similar and they bake up very similarly. Or you can leave it out altogether. Giving all that a really good whisk. Then you just pour this egg mixture over your vegetables. This is why I spread them out over the pan, so that I would know that throughout the pan the vegetables will be uniformly shared amongst all the eggs and they won't end up in a clump. Now I'm just taking a spatula and smoothing it over the pan, just to make sure that all the vegetables are fully submerged. And now it's time to put these in the oven. When these come out of the oven, they shouldn't be jiggly at all. So you can see they just slice almost like bread would slice or like a piece of pizza would slice. Because this was 18 eggs, I can get quite a few servings out of this. So we'll just slice it like this once it's pretty cool, because I'm going to put these straight in the freezer. If you were going to serve this, I would let them sit for a few minutes when they first come out of the oven, because they'll be pretty hot. If you give them a few minutes to sit, that'll give a minute for the cheese to congeal pretty well and not be runny. But in this case, this is pretty cool because I'm going to cut these up and take them and put them straight into the freezer for breakfast for my son. Anybody can eat them, but he particularly loves to have a high protein breakfast before he goes to work for the day. This is great. He can pull these out. He'll have one or maybe even two heated up, and he can have it with a piece of toast or just like this. It's a very filling breakfast and it's very delicious. What do you think you'd like to add to your eggs?